famous man once said, "You don't know where you're going unless you know where you're going." And that famous man was me.
For years, fans and critics alike have watched Jesse build his brand on confidence, control, and conservative values. But behind the scenes, there were always whispers, rumors that something deeper was going on. Now Jesse has gone and confirmed the rumors. Join us as we break down what Jesse Watters finally admitted: the public figure versus the private man. Jesse Watters didn't become a household name overnight. His rise at Fox News was steady, beginning quietly behind the scenes before he stepped into the spotlight. He started his career as a production assistant at the network, a job that gave him a foot in the door but not much attention. Over time, though, he proved himself. He moved up through the ranks and eventually found his niche doing man-on-the-street interviews for the O'Reilly Factor, where his bold questions and sometimes controversial style caught viewers' attention. His segments, known for mixing humor with political commentary, helped him stand out in a crowded media field. People either loved his approach or hated it, but either way, they were talking about him. That attention eventually earned him his own shows, first Watters World, and later Jesse Watters Primetime, a major slot on Fox News that placed him at the center of political conversation in America. As Jesse's public profile grew, so did the image of his personal life. To viewers and fans, he seemed to have it all. He was not just a rising media star, he looked like a man living the perfect life off camera as well. He was married to Noelle Inguagiato, someone he had met at Fox News when they were both working there. Their relationship developed during his early years at the network, and by 2009 they were married. In 2011, they welcomed twin daughters, and Jesse often spoke about how much his family meant to him. He posted photos of family vacations, shared memories on social media, and appeared to be a loving husband and father. Everything about their life together seemed polished and full of promise. This perfect picture was important, especially for someone like Jesse, whose career was built on strong opinions and traditional values. He positioned himself as someone who believed in family, loyalty, and responsibility, values his audience appreciated. On TV, he came across as confident, composed, and in control. Whether he was discussing political issues, social debates, or current events, Jesse carried himself with the assurance of someone who not only knew what he believed but lived by it. That public confidence made it even harder to imagine that anything could be wrong behind the scenes. But things weren't as perfect as they looked. While Jesse continued to grow his influence and reach on television, his personal life was slowly becoming more complicated. The private man behind the camera was dealing with problems that didn't match the image he shared with the public. The same marriage he often praised would eventually come to an end in a way that shocked many people. And the decisions he made in private would soon become very public, drawing attention not just to his work, but to his character and choices as a husband, father, and man in the spotlight. And that's where things start to change, because what looked like a strong, steady life was about to come undone in a very public way. The marriage that seemed unbreakable. Before Jesse Watters became a primetime fixture on Fox News, he was simply a young man building his career, and alongside him was someone who shared that journey from the very beginning. Jesse's first marriage to Noelle Inguagiato started at Fox News, the very place where he was climbing the ranks and where she was working in advertising and promotions. Their connection began during those early years when they were both focused on their professional growth, navigating the busy and fast-paced world of cable news. What began as a workplace connection quickly grew into something more personal, and over time their bond deepened into a serious relationship. In 2009, Jesse and Noelle got married. For many, it looked like a perfect match. They were both ambitious, working in the same industry, and understood the pressures that came with high-profile media jobs. From the outside, they seemed like a team, supportive of each other and aligned in building both a home and a future together. They didn't just share a career world, they built a family, welcoming twin daughters in 2011. Jesse often spoke about how much his family meant to him and how proud he was to be a father. As Jesse's career began to take off, he didn't keep his personal life hidden. In fact, he often shared glimpses of it with the public. Social media posts gave fans a peek into their lives, holiday celebrations, vacations, and moments with their children. Jesse appeared comfortable, showing the world that he was not only successful in his work, but also happy at home. One post in particular stood out to many people. A Valentine's Day tribute he shared publicly, expressing his love and appreciation for Noel. It painted a clear picture. He was a man deeply in love with his wife, proud of his family, and living what many would consider the American dream. These public displays of affection weren't just occasional. They were part of a pattern that shaped how people saw their relationship. To fans and followers, the Waters marriage looked strong, happy, and full of love. Noel wasn't just his wife. She was the woman who had been with him through the years of building his career. She had stood by him while he found his voice on television and gained national attention. Their life together seemed like it was built on a strong foundation of shared experiences, mutual respect, and family values. That's what made what came next so hard to believe. When rumors of Jesse's affair started to surface, it shocked people, not just because of who he was involved with, but because it clashed so strongly with the life he had presented to the world. For nearly a decade, Noel had been by his side through everything. She wasn't just a background figure. She had been part of the full picture, the one Jesse had helped create and promote. The betrayal didn't just affect their marriage, it shattered an image that had taken years to build. Jesse had once spoken so fondly of Noel and their life together. That's why, when it all started to fall apart, the emotional impact was heavy. It wasn't just about the end of a relationship, it was the end of what many believed was a true and lasting partnership. Noel had been there for the highs and lows, for the rise of his career, for the birth of their children, and for all the small moments in between. And now, all of that history was being overshadowed by choices made in private that had now become very, very public. But as the truth started to come out, it was clear the story was far from over, and Jesse's next steps would show just how complicated things were about to get. The affair that shocked the media world. The moment news broke that Jesse Waters had been involved in an affair with a younger colleague at Fox News, the media world lit up with questions, reactions, and opinions. It was a story that had everything: celebrity, workplace drama, and personal betrayal. The affair between Jesse and Emma Digiovine wasn't just surprising because of who was involved, but because of how it unfolded and what it meant for Jesse's carefully crafted public image. Emma Digiovine was working as an associate producer on Waters' World, Jesse's weekend show, when the relationship began. The exact timeline isn't publicly confirmed in every detail, but reports suggest their relationship started around 2017, while Jesse was still married to his first wife, Noel. At the time, Emma was in her mid-20s and relatively new to the Fox News team. Jesse was in his late 30s, married with children, and already an established name in conservative media. For a while, the relationship was kept under wraps, hidden from the public and even from many within their workplace. Eventually, the truth began to surface. According to sources close to the situation, Noel discovered the affair before it became public knowledge. She quietly filed for divorce in 2017, suggesting she had already confronted Jesse about his relationship with Emma. While the rest of the world was still seeing Jesse post about his family or appear confident on air, things behind the scenes had already started to break down. The news didn't become widely known until early 2018, when it was revealed that Jesse himself had reported the relationship to Fox News management. At that point, Fox News had a decision to make. The network had already faced criticism over other workplace scandals in years prior, and they wanted to avoid any appearance of favoritism or ethical conflicts. Emma was quickly reassigned to another program within the company. The move was seen as an effort to manage the situation quietly, but by then, the story had already taken on a life of its own. Media outlets picked it up immediately. The idea that a high-profile conservative host, known for promoting traditional family values, had cheated on his wife with a younger co-worker was too big of a story to ignore. The public reaction came fast, and it was mixed. Many fans of Jesse and Fox News were disappointed. They felt betrayed, especially since Jesse had often spoken about the importance of marriage, fatherhood, and loyalty. To those who took his public views seriously, his actions didn't line up with his words. Critics were quick to point out the contradiction. How could someone who regularly talked about personal responsibility and integrity be caught up in something like this? On the other hand, some people took a more sympathetic view. They argued that personal relationships are complicated, and that love and attraction don't always follow the rules. To them, Jesse and Emma's story wasn't about hypocrisy. It was about two people who fell for each other at the wrong time. They believed that while the way the relationship started was messy, it didn't mean it couldn't be real or lasting. For these people, Jesse's private life shouldn't define his public role, and they were willing to give him a second chance. Still, the scandal left a mark. Jesse's reputation, especially with more traditional viewers, took a hit. He was no longer just the outspoken host who asked bold questions. He was now part of a personal controversy that made headlines across the country. While Fox News didn't take disciplinary action against him, the affair changed how many people viewed him. It shifted the conversation around Jesse from his political opinions to his personal decisions. Even so, Jesse didn't step back from the spotlight. He kept his job, continued his appearances, and eventually moved forward with his relationship with Emma. He didn't publicly apologize or go into detail about what had happened. Instead, he stayed focused on his work and let time do the rest. But behind the scenes, the fallout from the affair was far from over for Noel, for their children, and even for Jesse and Emma as they started to build a new life together. And as that new chapter began, it became clear that Jesse wasn't just moving on. He was ready to double down on the life he had chosen, confirming what we all suspected. Over the years, Jesse Waters has never publicly apologized for the affair that ended his first marriage. He hasn't gone on air to express guilt or explain in detail how it all happened. But that doesn't mean he's stayed completely silent either. In fact, there have been small moments, quiet comments, and passing reflections that suggest Jesse might feel more about his past than he lets on. While he has worked hard to move forward, he has also dropped subtle clues that he hasn't entirely forgotten the life he left behind. One of the most revealing statements came not through a press release or social media post, but in a private setting where he reportedly said, "I loved her so much." That one sentence, simple and honest, stood out. It wasn't about defending his actions or shifting blame. It wasn't part of a broader explanation. It was just a quiet admission that still carried emotion. When someone says they loved a person so much, it usually means the feelings were deep, real, and lasting. Coming from someone who tends to present himself as strong, composed, and always in control, this kind of comment showed a different side of Jesse, a more personal and vulnerable one. It raised an important question. Did Jesse ever truly stop loving Noel? The way he has talked about her over the years makes it hard to say he did. Even after their split, he occasionally spoke about their past with a certain warmth. He didn't badmouth her or try to erase their history. In fact, before the scandal, he often posted affectionate messages and pictures of their family. These were not the actions of someone who had emotionally checked out. And after everything fell apart, those memories didn't just disappear. They lingered, both for him and for the people watching from the outside. What's also interesting is how Jesse has handled the topic of regret. He's never used that word directly. He hasn't stood in front of a camera and said, "I'm sorry." Instead, he's chosen to reflect in ways that protect his current image while still acknowledging his past. This is a skill many public figures develop, knowing how to recognize that something was difficult or painful without fully admitting fault. It allows them to stay in control of their own story. Jesse seems to understand this well. His career didn't fall apart after the affair. He didn't disappear. He stayed visible, stayed employed, and even got promoted. That only happens when someone is careful about what they say and how they say it. Still, no matter how polished someone's media image is, emotions have a way of slipping through. That single phrase, "I loved her so much," has stuck with people because it felt real. It felt like a moment of truth from someone who rarely lets his guard down. Maybe it wasn't a full confession or a dramatic apology, but it was enough to confirm what many already suspected, that Jesse's past still matters to him more than he lets on. But the story didn't end there, and neither did Jesse's next big decision: falling from grace. When Jesse Waters' affair with Emma DiGiovine became public, the backlash was fast and loud. For someone who had built his public image around strong conservative values, especially those centered on family, commitment, and morality, this personal scandal hit hard. People were quick to point out the contradiction. Many saw this moment as a fall from grace. Jesse had been one of Fox News' recognizable faces, known for his confidence, sharp takes, and sometimes provocative style. But now he was facing serious personal scrutiny. Across social media, people expressed disappointment. Some called him a hypocrite. Others went even further, saying he had betrayed not just his wife, but the very audience that trusted him. In a media world where personal and professional lives are often deeply connected, it felt like a moment that could have ended his career, or at least damaged it for good. But that's not what happened. Jesse Watters managed to keep his place at Fox News. In fact, he didn't just stay, he eventually rose even higher, going on to host his own primetime show. While other media personalities in similar situations have faced suspensions, firings, or complete public rejection, Jesse remained on the air. He never disappeared, never stepped back from the spotlight. How did he manage to do that? The answer lies partly in how Fox News and its audience responded. The network acted quickly by reassigning Emma Digiovine to avoid any workplace issues, which allowed them to say the matter had been handled. They didn't fire Jesse, nor did they publicly criticize him. And while some viewers were upset, many others either forgave him or felt that his personal life should stay separate from his work. Because Jesse's career was built on commentary, not moral leadership, some people were willing to keep watching as long as his opinions stayed sharp and entertaining. This also speaks to a larger truth about media figures. Not everyone is treated the same when personal scandals hit. Where one host might be taken off the air for similar behavior, another, especially one with a loyal audience, might be allowed to move forward. Networks make choices based on ratings, audience loyalty, and public reaction. In Jesse's case, the storm didn't bring him down. It passed. Of course, surviving a scandal doesn't mean the damage disappears. Jesse's personal reputation took a hit, and for many, the betrayal will always be a part of his story. But in the world of media, falling doesn't always mean you hit the bottom. And Jesse's next move showed just how committed he was to turning the page, for good. A new life. After the scandal that shook his personal life and stirred public debate, Jesse Watters made a clear and confident move forward with Emma Digiovine. Instead of shying away from the spotlight, Jesse embraced his new relationship and chose to share it openly. Many people expected him to keep things private after the backlash, but he did the opposite. Jesse and Emma began building a new life together, and they did it in full view of the public. Shortly after his divorce from Noelle Inguaggiata was finalized, Jesse proposed to Emma. It wasn't something done quietly behind closed doors. Jesse shared the news on social media, posting a smiling photo of the two of them during the proposal on a beach. It was romantic, confident, and very intentional. By going public with the engagement, Jesse wasn't just making a personal commitment, he was also sending a message that this relationship was serious and lasting. Their wedding was another public moment that marked a new chapter in Jesse's life. The ceremony was elegant and attended by friends, family, and even some of Jesse's Fox News colleagues. This event helped shift the tone of the story. What had started as a scandal was now being shown as a legitimate love story. Jesse and Emma were no longer just the couple at the center of a workplace affair. They were husband and wife, beginning a new journey together. Not long after getting married, Jesse and Emma welcomed their first child. Becoming a father again seemed to give Jesse a new sense of purpose. He proudly shared moments from their growing family life, offering glimpses into their home, vacations, and time spent with their baby. Just like before, Jesse was using social media to shape his public image, but this time it was with a new partner and a new family. He showed himself as a loving husband and devoted dad, reinforcing the idea that he had moved past the chaos and into a more stable, fulfilling stage of life. Emma also played a big role in this transformation. As a former associate producer at Fox News, she understood the media world and the attention that came with being with someone in the spotlight. Together, she and Jesse appeared at events, red carpets, and fundraisers, often looking happy and polished. Their presence on social media was carefully curated to show warmth, success, and unity. Every post, every public appearance helped support a new narrative, one that painted their relationship in a positive, even admirable light. This was a strategic shift. Jesse didn't directly address the scandal in interviews or on his show. Instead, he allowed time and new images to do the talking. The affair slowly became less of a headline and more of a backstory. The focus turned toward the family he had built with Emma. People still remembered the controversy, but many began to see the couple differently, less as a symbol of betrayal and more as a story of second chances. It's clear that Jesse wanted the public to view his relationship with Emma not as a mistake, but as something real and lasting. He presented their love story as something that deserved respect, not shame. In doing so, he managed to reframe the conversation. The message was simple. Yes, the beginning was complicated, but the result is something meaningful. It was no longer about the affair, it was about the life that followed. That shift didn't erase the past, but it gave Jesse control over how the story was told moving forward. Instead of letting others define his relationship, he took the lead in showing what it had become. And for a large part of his audience, that seemed to work. While some critics remained, others began to accept that life is complicated and that people change. Now, years after the scandal first broke, Jesse and Emma's life together looks solid. They've built a family, weathered intense scrutiny, and come out on the other side. Whether or not people agree with how it started, there's no denying that they've moved forward with confidence. A career full of controversies. Jesse Watters has always been known for his bold and unfiltered style on television. As a prominent host on Fox News, he often shares his opinions without hesitation. While this approach has earned him a loyal audience, it has also led to several controversies over the years. Some of his comments have sparked public outrage and drawn criticism from colleagues and viewers alike. One of the most serious controversies in his career happened in October 2016. While still a rising personality on Fox News, Jesse aired a segment from his Watters World Series that took place in New York City's Chinatown. The segment quickly became known for all the wrong reasons. In it, Jesse approached Chinese Americans and asked them questions that many considered offensive and racially insensitive. He asked if they knew karate, if he should bow to greet them, and joked about whether their watches had been stolen. All of this played over the 1974 song Kung Fu Fighting, and was cut together with clips of Jesse playing with nunchucks and getting a foot massage. The segment faced a huge backlash. Critics across the country called it racist and demeaning. New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio was one of the first to speak out, calling the segment vile, racist behavior that has no place in our city. Members of Congress like Senator Mazie Hirono and Representative Judy Chu also condemned it, as did the Asian American Journalists Association. Many people felt that Jesse's segment reduced an entire community to tired stereotypes for the sake of a joke. Another incident occurred during a segment on The Five in December 2024. The panel was discussing a video of Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who was nominated for a cabinet position by Donald Trump. The video showed Kennedy exercising shirtless, and the host commented on his impressive physique at the age of 70. During this discussion, Jesse made a remark that many found inappropriate. He said, "I just think it's unfair that you guys get to see this, and we don't get to see any of the female members of the cabinet." This comment was widely criticized on social media. Many viewers felt that Jesse's words were objectifying and disrespectful towards women. Critics argued that such remarks have no place in professional discussions, especially when talking about individuals nominated for important government positions. The backlash highlighted concerns about and the need for respectful discourse in media. Another controversy arose in August 2024 when Jesse made a comment about Vice President Kamala Harris during a discussion on foreign policy. He suggested that if Harris were president, the generals would have their way with her. This statement was met with immediate discomfort from his co-hosts. Jeanine Pirro responded by saying, "I don't like that. Take that back." Jesse later clarified that he did not intend the comment to be stating that he was referring to Harris's leadership style. However, many viewers and commentators found the remark inappropriate. Critics pointed out that such language would likely not be used when discussing male politicians. The incident sparked discussions about the importance of respectful language and the impact of words in shaping public perception. In addition to these incidents, Jesse has made other comments that have drawn criticism. For example, he once joked that he would consider divorcing his wife if she voted for Kamala Harris, comparing it to an act of betrayal similar to an extramarital affair. Despite these controversies, Jesse's career at Fox News has continued to thrive. He has maintained his position as a prominent host and continues to attract a significant viewership. Some argue that his unfiltered style resonates with audiences who appreciate candid commentary. Others believe that his continued success reflects a tolerance for controversial remarks in certain media circles. Jesse's approach to addressing backlash has varied. At times, he has defended his comments, insisting that they were misunderstood or taken out of context. In other instances, he has offered clarifications without issuing formal apologies. As Jesse continues his career in media, it's clear that his approach will remain a topic of discussion. His ability to provoke reactions, whether positive or negative, keeps him in the spotlight. While some viewers appreciate his candidness, others call for greater accountability and sensitivity in public discourse. If you found this story interesting, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more, and hit that bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Thanks for watching.